The year was 1947. The British Raj, after centuries of rule, was coming to an end. In its wake, a nation was being torn apart. India, the jewel in the crown of the empire, was to be divided. Two nations were to be born, India and Pakistan. The stroke of a pen on a map, a line drawn hastily, marked the birth of these nations, but at a terrible cost. The partition of India was not just a division of land. It was a brutal cleaving of hearts and minds, a violent separation of communities that had lived together for centuries. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, all caught in the whirlwind of religious fervor and political machinations. As the boundaries were redrawn, millions found themselves on the wrong side, their homes no longer theirs. The consequences were catastrophic. Mass migrations, unprecedented in human history, ensued. Millions fled their homes, seeking refuge in a land they barely knew, a land that was now theirs, or so they were told. But the journey was fraught with danger. Violence erupted with the force of a hurricane, leaving a trail of death and destruction in its wake. The partition was a time of unspeakable horrors, a testament to the darkest depths of human cruelty. Yet, amidst the chaos and carnage, there were stories of resilience, of humanity shining through the cracks of a shattered world. But some stories were stranger than fiction, more absurd, more poignant. They were the stories of those deemed mad, caught in the crosshairs of a dividing line that made little sense, even to sane minds. As if the partition of a nation wasn't complex enough, a bizarre decision was made. The governments of newly formed India and Pakistan decided to exchange mental patients. The logic, if one could call it that, was that these individuals belonged to their respective religious communities. Hindus to India, Muslims to Pakistan. The absurdity of it all was lost on no one, least of all the patients themselves. How could one determine the sanity of a man who thought he was God, let alone his religion? How could lines drawn on a map dictate the fate of those who couldn't even comprehend the concept of a nation? The task of identifying and separating these patients fell upon the shoulders of doctors and administrators, already overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the humanitarian crisis unfolding around them. The process was haphazard, to say the least. Records were incomplete, identities were fluid, and sanity in such times was a relative term. The decision to exchange mental patients was a stark reminder of the absurdity that often accompanies grand political schemes. It was a testament to the dehumanizing nature of conflict, where even the most vulnerable were reduced to pawns in a game of power and ideology. The Lahore Mental Asylum, a place already steeped in its own peculiar reality, became a microcosm of the chaos engulfing the outside world. News of the impending exchange spread through the wards like wildfire, carried on the whispers of the wind and the murmurs of the disturbed. There was confusion, fear, and a strange sense of excitement in the air. For some, the news was met with indifference, their minds lost in worlds of their own making. Others reacted with anger, their voices echoing through the corridors, railing against an injustice they could barely comprehend. "Why are they sending us away?" a voice cried out. "This is our home! India, Pakistan, what does it matter?" Another voice mumbled, his words slurred. "We are all prisoners here." Conversations, if one could call them that, were a bizarre tapestry of delusion and reality. The patients, in their own way, were grappling with the absurdity of it all, trying to make sense of a world that seemed to have lost its mind. Among the patients, there were those who clung to their identities, their sanity a fragile thread in the tapestry of madness. They questioned the logic of it all, their voices laced with a poignant clarity that belied their supposed insanity. There was Bashan Singh, a Sikh who insisted he was a Muslim, his beliefs a product of years spent living in a Muslim-dominated village. "I pray 5 times a day," he would say, his voice firm. I am a Muslim, send me to Pakistan. Then there was Fazal Din, a Muslim who had been declared insane because he claimed to be a follower of Mahatma Gandhi, a Hindu. Violence is not the answer, he would preach, his words falling on deaf ears. We are all brothers and sisters. Their stories, their confusion, highlighted the absurdity of using religion as a basis for determining sanity or belonging. The lines were blurred, the identities fluid, and the very act of categorization seemed futile in the face of such profound